and inherent constitutional rights. If you're not a citizen, are you entitled to those same rights?
Yeah, I think we agree there, but I just, you know, I don't trust the group up there at all. As I said, I'm expecting them to start turning around and saying, you.
Oh, it's set. Yeah. And you're going to allow them to go on public trial instead of the military tribunal?
We have the Geneva Convention. If you are a combatant without insignia, you can be shot. So when we say we have to extend these guys' rights, they have no rights at all, except that which we have given them. The guy who tried to blow up his car the other day in Times Square, they Mirandized him.
Yeah.
And now he's talking, but he's doing it under the, he's already been Mirandized, so it's his fault that he may not understand it. But the idea of extending rights to somebody who are terrorists, by definition, who can be shot. You could, I mean, a policeman could walk up and shoot him in the
agree with that. I'm just worried about the.
But he is a citizen.
Taking away Miranda rights for citizens.
If he has to be because he's a citizen.
Yeah.
But we have extended that to people who are not citizens around the world. The twist is, as we all know, when Obama has signed the UN treaty that allows them to enter our country, Interpol, to have access to our country, and when you have a UN commission that may want to do war crimes, and they may say, you know, George Bush, we think you're a war criminal. We're coming after you just like we went after the guys over in Slovakia. That when we start making those types of treaties with a group that has Iran and Iraq and Cuba and Libya on their Human Rights Commission, I mean, it's ludicrous. We're just giving ourselves.
You know, you guys, and another subject just is going along the same lines is, it goes back to immigration. How many countries recognize dual citizenship? They don't. So you know what? We need to get that down. You're either a citizen or you're not. So you get those rights or you don't.
Yeah. Are you guys going to fight against, you know, things like that? Get us out of the UN? And,
I think the UN is a great thing to build in France. Build it in France.
You guys feel like, you know, as far as you want to get up there, you try to fight and get out of these things?
I agree. No, I mean, if you look at what's happening, the devaluation of our money, you look at everything that's going on, it's going for a world order. You look at former Vice President Gore, and you talk about cap and trade, guess what? He's already invested in Brazil. He's already been certified for his tax credits and for his carbon tax. What the hell's going on here? Boy, that's wrong. And you know what? Let's go back in time. If you're not studying history, you're doomed to repeat it. What happened with Teddy Roosevelt? Teddy Roosevelt had some of the same kind of problems we are facing right now. And guess what he did? Time to bring it in.
Yes.
Time to bring all foreign aid in. You know what? We can't do much for anybody else till we take care of stuff at home. Got to get our house in order. How many times have I even heard that? My grandfather always said, can't help anybody else until your own house is in order. Okay? Maybe we're there. And guess what? What's magic about one of us? Guess who controls the appropriations in the house? It's the house, isn't it? There you go. Money. Start thinking about this. Read that book. Because now if you control the purse strings, you control how it's portrayed and how it's going to be done.
I see Barry move towards the front of the room. Is there, what do we think?
Well, I'm thinking that you've been up here answering questions for over an hour. So I'm going to ask everybody to, after my last question, to break. We'll show our appreciation to these two brave gentlemen who are running for office. And then I know they're going to stay around and talk to you individually if you have some questions about that. My last question, which may or may not help differentiate you a little bit. It's a different subject, I think. And it has to do with Rusty. Correct me where I'm wrong with some of these assumptions if I make some. I think you've done some lobbying for some of the mining groups or the mineral people in the district, which gives you a perspective. I'm not sure that Dr. Gosar has done any of that. He can speak to this too after you. That gives you a different perspective on jobs, I think, in our area. Does it help you or hurt you from the standpoint of helping focus any legislation towards helping improve jobs in our district, which is important to us? And does it hurt you or help you in any way once you get to the power-hungry lobbyists in Washington, D.C.? Does it keep you from being influenced?
Great question. I know that Paul also has done some work on federal stuff, but I am a lobbyist, and I love it when people say he's a carpetbagger and a lobbyist. And with all due respect, Paul, I've lived in this district longer than you've been alive. But the lobbyist thing, one of the great... Well, he's not 51st. Hey, I'm back to 51 too. I represent now about 7,000 blue-collar men and women across the state working in the sand and gravel industry. And we make the stuff that's, yeah, I think that's Fort concrete. On your walls, the calcium carbonate. A lot of mining groups. And my job, from my experience in the legislature in the environmental arena, is to focus on the regulations that just are suffocating us, and to try to get some balance in it. So that's my focus as a lobbyist and a representative of our group. And as a legislator, you see things through one way. And you have all these constituents. And again, it's trying to find the gem of truth and the strengths and to weave those together in a proper tapestry of good legislation that doesn't have a bunch of bad unintended consequences. Now on the other side, representing an industry, and then my group, and with the AMA bill, the hard rock mining group, we together cooperated to get a new AMA cleanup bill through the last legislative session. And so you start seeing where the ties are and the good principles of other groups, where they have their strengths, what they need to done, and bring those to a good lobbyist tells the truth. He'll say, here's our position.